Como perguntares porque que o meu pai tornou-se alcoólico, eu não sei. Sinto uma frustração porque, obviamente, queria um pai diferente. Queria um pai diferente.
Sugar Ray Leonard, who was ego-driven, who was a tough SOB in the ring, who had money, who had fame, and at some point didn't really appreciate it, but took advantage of that. And my first wife, Juanita, she always said, you know, you're two different people. And I used to get angry about that. They go and have a drink. But then when my present wife, Bernadette, said to me, there are two of you, I knew there was a problem. I would wake up and not remember what the hell just happened that night. I always knew I had a problem. Just never admitted it to myself. I never believed it. And that's deadly, that's wrong. One day I woke up, 9 years ago I woke up, and life couldn't be better.
Hermano, hey.
Well, his anger is understandable in any language. Newly released video of the night baseball star and former Florida Marlin Miguel Cabrera was picked up for DUI on the Treasure Coast.
The camera rolls as Miguel Cabrera sits handcuffed in the backseat of a patrol car. Outside, two St. Lucie County deputies talk about why he's under arrest.
Was he drinking? No, he was just very slurred when I first got out. When I first stepped out.
The state attorney's office released much of the evidence they've collected in Cabrera's DUI case. The first baseman for the Detroit Tigers faces several charges following the February arrest, including DUI and resisting arrest without violence. The evidence against him includes the patrol car video, pages of documents, and a 911 call made from a Fort Pierce bar before his arrest. The incident report says the baseball player's eyes were bloodshot and he was slurring his words. As a deputy questioned him, the report says Cabrera grabbed this bottle of scotch and started drinking. As the patrol unit heads to the St. Lucie County Jail, Cabrera tries to get the deputy's attention, speaking only in Spanish.
Hey, mi hermano. Hey.
My game and where I was aligned to be just like anyone else who has been a four-time All-Star in 5 years.
What happened?
So that's where my success went straight to my head. The talent that I had, I was given so much so fast. And from where I came from, like, I was hungry and no one believed in me. And I always had to prove from Old Saybrook to University of Hartford. I had to prove, and I was determined to prove to people how great I was and how awesome I was. And, I answered the bell every single time. What happened to me was the success and the accolades came. What I wanted was recognition. I wanted people to know my name. I wanted people to say, he's just as good as Weber. He's just as good as Kemp. He's just as good as all the other power forwards. And they said it. And so I grew up very sheltered. I told you my pops was a pastor. When I got the success and got all the accolades that, my own signature Jordan shoe, I was at the top of the top. And so I started partying. I started celebrating my success. Instead of saying, let's do it again. At 22, 23 years old, just 8 years later, I'm considered one of the top 20 players in the world. And so I didn't deal with the success well at all now. See, I started to party, smoking, drinking. So every day when I ultimately got to Seattle, the drinking was recreational. It started off at recreational. But I've been exposed to addiction. I have family members who have lost their life to addiction and, who struggle with addiction. But I'm thinking I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I'm a star, I'm a basketball star. This is what comes along with being successful is partying, drinking. My celebration of individual accolades was bigger than team stuff because nobody around me had done what I had done. Not any of my high school friends, not any of my elementary school. I didn't have anyone, not my college friends. So I was celebrated for my individual accomplishments. My celebration led to actual celebrating. But the problem was that the celebration, the weekend warrior, twice a week turned into every day. I want to party every day. I want to celebrate every day. And before I knew it, Nasi, in Seattle, my second or third year, I became
It was just wrong. And that's all it comes down to. I needed to be in a different place. I needed to be responsible at that moment, that day period, and I was not responsible. And so those actions of mine have hurt a lot of people that are very close to me. But as far as baseball and the Rangers, they've shown nothing but support to me. And tell me will continue to support me. And after this happens and praying about it and just, I cannot take a break from my recovery. My recovery is Christ. My recovery is an everyday process. Because when I take that one day off, it leaves me open for a moment of weakness. And it's always been that way. For everybody who I have hurt, for everybody who, fans, kids, people who have addictions, look up to me. I apologize to you. When you're doing this, you don't mean to hurt anybody, but you're only thinking you're hurting yourself. But as I know, it hurts a lot of people.
At 18 years old, just did a photo shoot for Sports Illustrated. I'm one of the best basketball players in the country. I'm in my first month in college, finally, and I said, I'll take a chance at dying. If you walk in my house, honest to God, you will not see one thing about basketball. I do not have one uniform, one picture, one article, but you'll go to my sink and there'll be my 15-year chip sitting there on the counter. Recovery is the greatest accomplishment of my life.
The first time I masked pain with alcohol was when I got benched by Rick Adam, and I came back to Houston to play. And I sat on the bench. In Houston, I sat on the bench. And I'm looking like, damn. So this is what the end is gonna look like for me. So I wouldn't say I just automatically started drinking. I started living my life the way that I wanted to, as far as that little kid that had all that suppression while he was on the NBA basketball still had to play by those jail rules. Did it get out of control sometimes? That one time I got a DWI, I was upset. But also going through a divorce at the time, going through my NBA career coming to an end, going through my dad committing suicide, going through all those things with no help. So then I started popping off and drinking like, damn, what the hell? What's going on? What's gonna be my next move? What are you gonna do next? So when you get to that point and you break down, you're dark. So now when you pop in them bottles, you're gonna pop some more bottles. And then the next day you're gonna pop some more bottles. And then you're gonna start earlier. And then the boat rides are that much smoother. And the crowd gets bigger and everybody's partying. So you cool, you fitting right in. But when you go home, you like, damn, how much money I spent.
For me, I wasn't an everyday kind of drinker, so I wasn't doing, I wasn't in this rhythm of doing it every day, but I certainly knew that I had let nights get away from me, and then in turn, you let a day with your wife get away from you, and then as you have kids, you let a day with them get away from you. So,
can you walk us through what that's like for publicly? You're essentially a celebrity in a hockey market in Canada, making millions of dollars, and yet privately you're going through a real struggle.
Yeah, it compounds everything and makes everything more difficult. Getting into camp and getting the season started, you're excited. You want to be doing that, and last year I just couldn't get there. Physically, mentally, everything felt wrong. Everything felt off. Driving to the rink every day, I made it harder. So, eventually it just got to the point where I said I can't do this for a single day anymore before I have to go talk to people. There's only so many days you can drive to the rink and be crying and not knowing why and not understanding anything. And then you factor in alcohol and you factor in, you know, a home life that you're making miserable for everybody. It got to be so much around me that I had to leave, and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I made a decision to do that.
You know, I'm very stubborn, just leave it, hang it up. People saw it, don't touch it. Don't touch it, easy. Start drinking, very intoxicated on the game. I was spiraling out of control, and the Bulls is somewhere I wanted to be. But the reason I tell people that story is because I know people go through what I've been through, so I don't mind telling it. It's not smart of me. It can mess up an Amex deal potentially, but I think it's important to tell those stories because there's a lot of kids that's playing professional sports going through what I've gone through. So I'm always able to relate.
It's fun. I was thinking it's fun, but when I changed my life like this.
You changed your ways?
If I drink?
Yeah.
More than 24 hours.
Really? What did you like about it?
Before, when I'm thinking, I already forgot that.
You already forget?
The past life. The old Manny Pacquiao has gone and the new has come.
You never want to admit that you're an alcoholic. And I think that's the most important step, is just looking in the mirror and be like, all right, let's stop playing. But it's just taking the first step, doing it over and over and over again, and then just stacking days. When I first started drinking, I was like, oh my God, like I can go up and talk to this girl, I can go and be myself and fun, and like, I fell in love with it from the first drink. I was like the life of the party type of person at first, but at the same time, like, I always took it too far. Like, I was always the one throwing up and always blacking out. I was drinking mainly. I was smoking. I was doing coke here and there. I was off the wall. I'd take a pill that I didn't even know what it was. Like, in my house here in Vegas, I was all alone. I was literally, my whole bed was filled with sweat just from all the alcohol that was in my system. I was so dehydrated, like it felt like I was about to overdose. I felt hopeless. Like I didn't even want to be here, type hopeless. That's when I knew, I was like, this, if I don't get help now, like I'm done for.
Who were you? You know, were you lost? Like, who were you trying to be? What were you trying to be? What was the turning point? Like when it turned from fun to trouble, you know, where you didn't think it was a problem, to where you thought it was a problem, to where it is a problem. How frick did I play at the level that I was playing at while I was doing that? Like, I had 4 picks one year when I was drinking every other day. If I'd be on that same path, like, I mean, would I even still be in the league? Like, you know what I mean? Like, would I be dead? That's when it kind of hit me, like, bro, like you're an alcoholic, dude. Like, you're an alcoholic. That's the hard part. Growing up, I really didn't want to be around alcohol like that just because I saw how my parents were, you know, coming home from practice and, you know, both of them being, you know, having drinks and arguing with each other. Like, my dad being upstairs, my mom being downstairs and just arguing with each other, like just yelling, like, and like arguing over this dumb stuff just because they were drinking. And it was like, it was draining. I wanted to stay as far away from that as possible because I really saw it firsthand, but obviously didn't last very long. I think psychologically, you know, when I was going through the shit, I would give myself an excuse. It's like, oh, it runs in my family's blood. You know, it's just who I am. You know, my real dad's been in and out of jail his whole life because of alcohol. You know, he tried to be in my life at a younger age, and I gave him opportunities, and he never took advantage of them. My mom always telling me sorry. She was, you know, just it's done a toll on both of us. We all struggle with things. We all have our demons. I couldn't just have that one glass of wine. And when I drank wine, I didn't drink it like, you know what I'm saying, like they do on TV shows and stuff. I I drink that thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, pour up the next one, you know what I mean? Like, I'm ready, wasting time. You know, that was just my mindset. I couldn't go out and just chill. Like, I had to be the drunkest one out there. Like, it's like I was trying to prove a point or something. Especially as men, like, we feel like we're so, you know, macho and just feel like we can just, you know, handle everything that life throws at us, when in reality, like, man, life is hard. You know, we all handle it different ways too. And, you know, for me, during that time when life was hard, I would drink. The 2019 season, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and I just didn't feel like I was performing as well as I wanted to be. And so then again, I went back into my hole, man, and I went back into my hole, this time probably worse than ever. Now it's hurting me in probably the most important time in my life, you know. Almost losing my wife, almost losing my daughter, because, you know, there was a time I hit rock bottom in the off season after the Houston game. Every single day, that image is in my head. Every single day. That's the reason. I mean, I just remember my eyes waking up and me rolling over and seeing Aaliyah and just, Daddy, let's go play. And I just couldn't move. Every single day. I wish I could have that person sitting in a chair across from me and just have a conversation with him and tell him that he's gonna be all right. That he just needs to admit that he's got an issue and face that issue face on instead of running from all your problems. Honestly, I think he would just tell me that he's lost, that he needs help, and he needs guidance. And I think that would be his first step to becoming the person that he's talking to.